Mengumumkan ketibaan Yang Amat Berbahagia Tun Arshad Ayub.
Saya kata dia duduk situ. Betul ya? Apa tu? Bingung. Okey.
Sorry, I'm ready. That's it.
Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon to our most distinguished guests, Yang Amat Berbahagia Tun Arshad Ayub, Puan Nazri Anim binti Datuk Haji Muhammad Ghazali, Principal Founder of the Classics Challengers, Mr. M. Nasbaran, the Special Advisor, Datin Tutu Dutayin, the patron and respected guests. I'm Hajar Nur Ashikin and I'm the MC for this event. Before we commence, let us join Tan Chi K in saying the Negara Ku. Mr. Tan Chi K.
Okay, that's easy.
There's a bit of a change. We're going to sit together.
Okay. Pakai mask macam ni.
Our Afghani member is also selling her books. Most of the books in this cafe on the shelves are for sale. Please inquire Dr. Helmi. We will be serving light refreshment at the end of the session. Specialty coffee and tea may be purchased at the bar over there. The restrooms? The restrooms are at the foyer behind the guard station. Let's begin. We are gathered here today to celebrate the publication of our book, The Classics Challengers, From Reading to Writing, and who best to speak about the book but the principal founder herself. Ladies and gentlemen, Puan Nazri Anim binti Datuk Haji Muhammad Ghazali, the principal founder and editor, will say a few words. Puan Nazri.
The principal founder of in the name of God, the most beneficent and the most merciful, please grace our event today with your blessings and protection. Yang Amat Berbahagia Tun Arshad Ayub, our very special guest of honor, Mr. M. Nasbaran, Special Advisor to the Classic Challengers, our patron, Datin Tutuyen, the beloved Dr. Chua Kuat Eng, our staunch supporter from day one, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum and good afternoon. On behalf of the Classic Challenges, I would like to welcome you to the official launch of our book, The Classic Challenges, From Reading to Writing, which will take place soon. I am deeply honored that such a distinguished and towering personality in Malaysia had kindly gave a special message in our book, and furthermore had agreed to grace our event today with his illustrious presence. For me, Tun Arshad Ayub, Pro-Chancellor of YTF, is synonymous with championing for better education in order to improve one's station in life. I am humbled that someone of such presence is here with us today to officially launch our book. The Classic Challenges from Reading to Writing is a testament of our love for knowledge and reading. But more than that, it is a showcase of our collective effort and teamwork. Today, as we witness the much anticipated launch of our book by none other than a much celebrated icon of education, we will also rejoice in meeting old friends separated for months due to COVID. It is also time to meet new friends and exchanging ideas and views. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank all the members of the Classic Challenges for their invaluable contribution. This group would not exist today had it not been for their dedication and participation. In particular, I would like to express my gratitude towards the leaders of the numerous discussions that we have held since inception. Some of them are Jason Ho, John Pinto, Tom C.K., and our special advisor himself, who had just led a discussion on Greek stuff by Dr. Chua Guat Eng just last week. And Dr. Chua Guat Eng herself also has led a few discussions in the past, one of which is Death in Venice by Thomas Mann. It is my fervent hope that the Classic Challenges will be a platform for semi-serious discussion group for mostly serious books. I guess that is our small contribution towards society. Last but not the least, I thank all the members for making this event happen today. And a very special thank you to our esteemed member, Dr. Judith Saham, and to our associate member, Professor Khairuddin, for all their effort in ensuring that the book is published and the event today commences as planned. My deepest gratitude to both the gentlemen. I hope you will all enjoy the session today and bring back memories of this Saturday afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, Puan Azim. And now, for the main highlight of this afternoon session, the official launch of the book by Yang Amat Bahagia Tun Arshad Ayub. Before I invite him to speak, I would like to give a little bit of background on Tun. Tun Arshad Ayub was born in Muar Johor on November 15, 1928, and was raised in an environment of hardship and poverty. He suffered from typhoid and following the death of his parents, was tasked with the responsibility of raising his younger siblings. As a poverty-stricken and deprived child living in a decade before Second World War, the future seems bleak. Yet, through sheer determination, diligence, and discipline, he overcame great odds to rise over the trials and tribulations of his early life. In fact, it was those difficult early years which were so formative to his subsequent calling as an educator and civil servant. His experience of poverty made him all the more determined to help disadvantaged children overcome their adverse circumstances through education. Tun Arshad took on every educational opportunity afforded him to advance and improve his position in life. In 1954, Tun graduated with a diploma in agriculture from the College of Agriculture in Serdang. Tun was awarded the Colonial and Development Scholarship to study at the University of Wales in Aberystwyth in the United Kingdom, and graduated with an honours degree in economics and statistics in 1958. In 1964, Tun obtained a diploma in business administration from Management Development Institute in Lausanne, Switzerland. Tun's involvement in education began in 1965 as the principal of the Mara College of Business and Professional Studies. He laid the foundation for the Institute Technology Mara, now known as the UITM, and led one of the most successful education initiatives in the country. Tun Arshad assembled a multiracial team of educationists with the right mix of courage and passion to do things not done before. Tun played a critical role in the UiTM Foundation years by structuring it with concepts and programs then unknown and unexplored in the higher education sectors in Malaysia. He believed that entry points into tertiary courses should be flexible, but exit points must be well regulated. Long before other institutions embraced the innovation of training programs where Malaysian students were able to set a quality education abroad at a fraction of the cost, Tun Arshad teamed up with Ohio and Kentucky universities in the United States to pioneer training programs. Tun also made UiTM the first Malaysian institution to embrace external UK programs in law and professional accounting such as LLB, ICSA and ACCA. In the 1960s, UiTM was the first institution in the country to offer the prestigious Association of Chartered Certified Accountants program. And likewise, under Tun Arshad, UiTM was the first institution in the country to offer full-time education for the well-respected LLB external degree. He stuck to English as medium of instruction and changed the students' diet, bread for breakfast and sandwiches for lunch. When Tun opened UiTM doors in 1965, the students' population was only 290 with just 11 lecturers. When he left in 1975, there were close to 7,000 students and 904 lecturers serving 60 programs across 13 different schools. Today, UiTM is the nation's largest institution in terms of population. Tun Arshad Ayub is widely regarded as a foresighted educator who has had a tremendous impact on business and education in Malaysia for nearly half a century and continues to do so. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Classics Challengers, it gives me great pleasure and honor to invite Tun Arshad Ayub, Pro-Chancellor UiTM, to deliver his address and officially launch our book, The Classics Challengers, From Reading to Writing. Tun.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So, first of all, I'd like to express my thanks to the principal founder of the Classic Challenges, Puan Nazli Alim Dato' Haji Muhammad Ghazali, for inviting me to say a few words and launch the book. To launch the book right after this afternoon. I think in the first place, thank you very much for informing some of the members of your association about my CD. But I think there are a few things which probably you missed. I think in life, it's not only the success that you've gone through, but the less successful, the less part, or the setbacks which I've gone through in my days. In 1949, I went to the University of Singapore and to read history and pure mathematics and English literature. But quite frankly, due to my lack of reading in those days, I think I only read 3 English textbooks in order to get credit in English language and English literature. The 3 books which I read, I shall never forget, is one of them, Charles Dickens. This is textbook for the exam. Charles Dickens, Youth and Gasparuis. Some of you have not heard of this book at all. And second book I read was Robert Louis Stevenson, called Kidnapped, the story of Scotland and so on. And the third one, of course, Macbeth. You must take one of the Shakespeare's books. So these are the 3 basic books which led me to get a credit in English language and credit in English literature. So when I look back, I was in Singapore for 2 years, but I didn't succeed. And simple reason, lack of reading, that's all. And when you live in the kampung, which your MC has mentioned earlier, you cannot go back to house and travel and walk back 4 to 5 miles to the school or to go to the library. And this is the handicap and the problem of the kampung boys before Merdeka. So, and the other one, probably, when you talk about writing books, people who wrote book must have the idea, first, you yourself, your own reading, and two, the understanding of the environment, and third, the reaction and the interaction between you, either with your parent, your society, or your kampung, or your town, or your urban areas. And then, of course, as you go further, your school, and then your university, postgraduate, and so on. And these are more or less the background as a chap who will be future writers. And because of this, I myself believe, for the lack of reading, not lack of fingering or whatever you want to call it. Sorry, don't think of the bad words. for lack of reading and so on as forth, you all just, and at the age of 90, going to be 93, I found out when I fax to my friends or when I start fingering, the other side must try to interpret what is my mind. Because what syllabs was from R to B, one is the distant, and then all of a sudden it appear, you have the wrong spelling, the new thing come out, this is the right spelling, I don't know whether you should tap it or send it and so on. So they are the problems today. But the most important thing, as I mentioned earlier, if you really want to be a writer, which I really support very much, because I've been members of the board, a few universities, including your IPM, which I mentioned, and we introduced the School of Mass Communications. But what in the syllabus, and this is important, I think very few universities, colleges, or polytechnic has the word creative writing. Can I ask, just put up your hand, any of you has attended a course more than, say, 1 week in creative writing? No, one. And later I listened to Kazana. They give people scholarship, the newspaper boys and girls, to go to Cambridge, to Oxford, to do creative writing. So this is, I wish, more universities, more colleges, and if possible schools such as to teach creative writing. And this is the basic, I think, of people who want to write books in the future. Why? Without it, you can still do it. Without it, you can still do it. This is the important thing. And I think I'm more interested in what we can do in Malaysia. Now, the other one I reminded when we talk about writing or teaching English language or literature, it reminded me of Professor Roy Fernando, who was at the University of Malaya professor, and I think he wrote 1 or 2 books. And also he was teaching English literature and English language at UITM in those days when almost 2/3 of the faculty members of ITM were what we call not outsiders, were part-time lecturers. So this is one of the things, when as a leader, as a writer, always important, the sources, your sources of information, your sources of life in the kampung. So if you don't have all these facts, then I think it's a bit difficult. That reminds me, during this, or even before that, during this COVID, my favorite program is on the hits, HITS. I don't know how many of you listen. I don't know how many times I listen, or rather I switch on to the same program. And one of the programs that I like most, not that, because there is also Law and Order and many more, but one of the programs I like most is Little House on the Prairie. So that's it. I mean, there is, and not only that, in the Little House in the Prairies, if you use it as a case study to see what's going to happen next, this is where probably we missed it. It's very, it reflects and he tries to picture a lot of things. From Laura, whatever, then the sister became blind, and then there is many other sisters-in-law. So it's a very interesting story. But that, to me, is very good to think of, not only in terms of creative writing, but what you expect to do in the future. And this is very useful. People who study in business, what they call Harvard use this as a case studies. And this is where I'm not sure whether your MC mentioned, I was 1 year studying in Switzerland to be equivalent to a business school called YABhg in 1963-64. I think that's where I left Junaid, I think, when he was at ITM and so on. I think he went for something else to do PhD and so on. And I think it's your wife here today? Yeah? Ada? Tak ada. The wife is the English teacher first class and teaching at ITM. So this is, what I'm saying is, how there are 36 of us, 36 nations from 52 students, year in and year out for 10 months. Tak bertukar. You first 4 weeks, you change places, you talk about your case studies and so on. For 4 weeks, and they told you you're not supposed to bring your spouses, and we are forced to stay in the hotel. And then after that, it was worse than, worse because it was fair. The discipline was no better than you are in the primary school. Go to class at 9, 1 hour and 20 minutes, another subject, another one, and altogether about 4 subjects, and we don't get home until 5:30. And believe it or not, lunch all together, 55 of us, of various nations. And this is where I feel 3 of the students were asked to withdraw because the medium of instruction was in English language, and they cannot understand very much of all the cases and so on, study human relation, philosophy, accounting, and so they couldn't follow them. So those 3 are whites. And the 3, what we call non-white, are myself, Chung Tek Chung from Korea, and Galal Maldi from Egypt. 3 of us, but we all stayed up until we get our diploma. And the other thing, a lot of work to be done, but not so much stress or emphasis on examinations. There's a lot of writing, there's a lot of discussion, and there's a lot of reading. But maybe I could have the chance to write about what at the YABhg in Switzerland. And that's what we call the postgraduate. And I was also fortunate. I studied in Aberystwyth for 4 years. Studied geography. We studied geography of Wales and Britain. And also we studied economics and mathematics. We studied what the coal industry, which you thought was, which you think at the time was not useful. And I took a degree in economics and statistics as an honors subject. That's it there. So this is, even at that time, there is no such thing as creative writing. They had international politics, all sorts of things. So the most important thing, maybe, if you're going to be a writer, a good writer, you study your subject very well. And there is a lot. For us, not many people have been writing. Dulu masa saya sekolah ada, kita ada cerita Melayu, tulisan buku Injawi, all more love story. And if you look at one more, cinema by famous Tan Sri Ramli, all the educated people, the rich people, they are no good. Semua tak betul. Memang one doctor dia murah, ada anak orang miskin, jadi budak beca ni Ramli tak dapat. So this is sometimes in your creative writing, in your creative ideas, whether you want to look at this and the society at that time, orang kaya, jahat. Tak ada kata, oh businessman tak ada sekolah, so menipu macam Teri Abdul, menipu. Yang bagus tu orang cari beca. And I am a boy who bawa beca tu at Timor during the Japanese occupation, and about 6 months when I was in the government English school, bawa beca. What the people call it trishaw. So yes, and I'm very proud of it. You know, and of course, I don't want to speak about the Japanese occupation. Only God knows. Tuhan yang tahu how you suffer if you get makan nasi ataupun bubur seminggu sekali. Out of 40, syukur alhamdulillah. But of course, there are people who have got sawah, who got benefit of the rice. But people like me in Muar, kita tak ada sawah. Kalau ada pun sawah jauh sikit, 20 batu sawah ring. Dan kalau dia di Sungai Balang, terus Batu Pahat, yang dia tanam padi dalam pokok kelapa yang dipanggil padi rumah. This is very plentiful and very exciting for writers. Unfortunately, I wish I had been a writer. Saya maybe pemalas, tak tahu lah. I don't write very much. But I will talk if people ask me the question. So sometimes I choose it that way. So dalam saya punya ini, dalam saya punya speak, banyaklah what has been done by the people. You see what in Nepal, in other places, about writing and reading. And I remember one of my colleagues, I think some of you knows, Tan Sri Nija. You know, it's like Tan Sri Morina Nija. Tan Sri Nija studied, baca, reading under the electrical post. Tak ada rumah, tak ada lampu. Saya membaca when I did my SPM semua, pakai lampu yang kita panggil pelita. The sumu di sekali kuning. Easier to speak Malay kali itu. Jadi bila habis saja, hitam semua sekali. Hitam dalam itu. So this, to me, I think if you have a chance, but that's not very much about my life in the early days. In Goa, I had to walk for 3 hours to school. So to me, if really the country should go very much forward, is reading, and I think one of we talk about education. If you don't read, then I think you're not educated. I'm always worried about our society. So much so, and of course there's a lot of problems in the society. And this is the one, kalau hari ini nak buat pasal corruption, you must be very right. But be careful, don't mention their name. You'll be sued as a society. So these are very, to me, very exciting in our country. And the more we have the books, the better. And in the early days, about 20 or 30 years ago, there was Cikgu, I know any of you, this Malay writer, Cikgu Shahrul. He was from Johor Bahru. I think I sponsored the book because Nyawa di Hujung Pedang, there was a Japanese occupation book at the time. I gave it to the Ministry of Education if they are interested, for purpose of future. This was the occupation of Japanese at Batu Pahat area. And there's an element of Chinese and Malays helping each other at that time at Batu Pahat. So these are perhaps the writing which to me is really kata kita masak, there's a lot of ingredients available in Malaysia. And I wish more people, and maybe some of you are teachers or lecturers in the colleges and in the university. This, I think, writing should become almost artwork. Dulu kita panggil sekolah writing and composition. Kalau ingat in English, that good composition, how to compose, and then writing for good and writing. So, but today at the school, so to me, it is very relevant for you people to think about it. If we have 212 members of parliament or something like that, right? If each writer studies one of the member of parliament, you can write good book. Really, you got 212 books on members of parliament. And if you talk about ministers, lagi banyak ada lagi. So, and this is what it means. When people write the type of hawkers and so on, then there's so many materials for us to write about it. And this is very lucky. It doesn't matter. It could be in English, it could be in Bahasa Malaysia, it could be in Bahasa China, in Bahasa India, it doesn't matter. So this is, it helps the creativity of the student. So maybe the university belum ada use creative writing. It's time to do that. Then for a bit personal, my wife, over the last 3 or 4 years, she didn't go to university. She just got a school certificate from St. George's Girls' School. I got that at the age of December 16. She must have got it in 1958 or 57. So she, sometime early in the morning, the bus lines go, I know she's screaming, she's missing from the bed. I care very much if I don't be that one. So she has been writing, so much so, some of when I celebrated my 50th wedding anniversary, and then 87th birthday. So I saw all of a sudden, she wrote about me, and she about her life. So these are probably mystic. So when I give lectures to students on the graduation day, I suggest that every student should have a diary. And you must write 1 page every day of what you do. But I don't think many of you do that. Because I thought this is what I missed when I was a student. Even when I was in university, I was active student in university, so you have time to write, except only write when you make a girlfriend, what time you do. Or when you go to your friend in their house overseas, you got golden blue wheels, atau got beggars, so that's what in your life. So this, how to say, is quite important, and we start prepared for us, because there's so much materials. So this is my take home for you people. So I think you can take up my speech here, but I think the most important is this. I mean, these days, life is different. You have green technology, you have 4.0, and so on and so forth. So this is the place for us to get it out. And the writers can influence this. So you must have also among yourself to get a check, you can review your books, whatever you write. Instead of review. So kadang-kadang to among yourself, whether you do a book, but you should also, like what they've been doing, you comment and you discuss about your friends' books. This is a very good idea. And maybe the greatest thing is, I mean, knowing very well, Malaysia is multi-religious, multi-disciplinary, so including people forget they're multi-states as well. I mean, the former 11th state, 7, then after that, we have Sabah is our anti-religion, not as like the states of, like the settlement of Malacca, settlement of Brunei, or Johor, or Kedah. It's different. We have federated Malay states, we have unfederated state, and we have the 2-state settlement which are colonies. Then, but when Sabah and Sarawak came in, they are in one of the third. So it's actually, when you look at Malaysia, it's the 3 states forming Malaysia. It is not, in a sense, legally, like in my opinion, legally it's not only 13 states. It's only Federation of Malaya plus Sabah and plus Sabah. So this is some of the issues when we see what's going on in Malaysia. This is like that. One time, I asked one of the professors, He said, can you get 5 people? I said 3 from Malaysia and 2 from Sabah and Sarawak. And should be 1 Indian Malay speaking. And to write what was the idea of our forefathers when they decided to have Malaysia. This creative writing, and you should not be afraid to write. Don't worry just because this is, but you can write a lot of it. But at the moment, most of us are writing short, very short speeches or short articles and so on. One of the full article so that we can understand better. So I think I've spoken quite a lot, but I think my speech probably is going to jadi pada saya heartiest congratulations again to Puan Nazri and then the Dato' Haji Muhammad Ghazali and your team of contributors for putting together this book. Yang saya muliakan tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, tetamu dan tuan rumah, dengan kalimah Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, saya dengan ini yang segala rendah hati merasmikan buku ini. I now officially launch the classic challenges from reading to writing. So,
Alhamdulillah, thank you so much, Tun. What an honor. Next, we're going to have a series of photo session. Can we first have the photo of 4 of you?
I didn't hear. I didn't.
Boleh cukup lagi. Okey, boleh.
Okay, I now invite Datin Tutu Duta Yin. Okay, not that. Thank you. I now invite Datin Tutu Duta Yin to present a humble token of appreciation to Tun. Thank you, Datin. Can we now please have Dr. Chua Guat Eng, Jason Ho, and Amir Hamza to join them in front for a photo. Dr. Chua, Jason Ho, and Amir Hamza.
Tak muat ni. 10 ribu. 10 ribu. SOP.
Ini apa? Social distancing. Social distancing.
Boleh.
Sorry, social distancing.
Kamera kena jauh sikit.
Siapa pun ada tanya.
10 ribu boleh. Boleh negotiate.
Okay.
Can we have the writers join them in front?
Writers.
Yes.
Ramai oh, dah writers ni. That means I think more than and mostly the ones written here. Space. Should I go inside? Ya, right. Saya rekam.
With the baby. Yes.